Yeah. So the soul will merge into impersonal Brahman and lose its individual existence. It is not supported herein by Lord Krishna, the supreme authority. Nor is the theory, nor is the theory that we only think of individuality in the conditioned state supported herein. Krishna clearly says herein that in future also the individuality of the Lord and others, as it is confirmed in Upanishad, will continue eternally. This statement of Krishna is authoritative because Krishna cannot be subject to illusion. If individuality were not a fact, then Krishna would not have stressed it so much even for the future. The Mayavadi may argue that the individuality spoken of by Krishna is not spiritual but material. Even accepting the argument that the individuality is material, then how can one distinguish Krishna's individuality? Krishna affirms his individuality in the past and confirms his individuality in the future also. And he has confirmed his individuality in many ways, and impersonal Brahman has been declared to be subordinate to him. Krishna has maintained spiritual individuality all along. So I'll explain all this. Uh, a common man with 4 defects of human frailty is unable to teach that which is worth hearing. The Gita is above such literature. No mundane book compares with Bhagavad Gita. When one accepts Krishna as ordinary man, the Gita loses all importance. So, the Mayavadis, who are these Mayavadis? Mayavadis are those people who think that at the time of death, if someone thinks of the Supreme Lord, if they attain perfection, then they will merge into the Brahman effulgence or the light, the effulgence. They think that the Brahman effulgence is supreme, and they deny that the Supreme Lord is a person. They say that the Supreme is Brahman effulgence. Now, Srila Prabhupada used to defeat this logic very simply. So he used to say that if you say that the Supreme is Brahman or light, then our Father, he should also be, in the sense, if you see our Father is a person, then the grandfather is also person, right? The great grandfather is also person. So like that, if you go on, the Supreme Lord is a great grandfather of everyone. He is the Supreme Father of everyone. So if our fathers are persons, then the Supreme Father should also be a person. So we cannot deny it. Okay. And not only that, another thing is, if the Supreme doesn't have a personality, then how can he be called Supreme? Right? Then that means there is something lacking in the Supreme, no? If he is no more a person, if he is only a light, then that means the Supreme lacks something. Then he cannot be called as Supreme. So this wrong understanding is there. Many people think that the Supreme means some light, some Brahman effulgence. So this misconception has to be removed. The Supreme Lord Krishna is always having a spiritual body, which is Satchit Ananda. Satchit Ananda means it is eternal, it is full of knowledge, and it is full of full of full of bliss. It is not like our body. Our body is asat Achit, Niranand. Temporary, illusory, uh, not full of knowledge, filled with so many sufferings. So the non-devotees, they try to understand this Bhagavad Gita on their own, unfortunately. So because Bhagavad Gita is famous, they think that by speaking about this Bhagavad Gita, I'll also become famous. Uh, So they try to approach Bhagavad Gita with that attitude, where they want to write their own interpretations about Bhagavad Gita. So instead of studying the Gita under some spiritual teachers who are coming from Krishna, as we discussed in the past about Parampara, they want to study this Bhagavad Gita on their own. So when they try to study the Bhagavad Gita on their own, then we see so much trouble, so much problem. They they will never come to a proper conclusion. Okay, so who can actually understand this Bhagavad Gita properly? Only those who are coming in parampara, if they submissively study under a guru, then only they will understand this Bhagavad Gita. So just like in a college, if somebody studies under a proper teacher, then only he will understand. Same way, if we also want to understand properly, then it is only possible if we study under a proper teacher. So this non-devotees who are trying to study the Bhagavad Gita, it is like a bee trying to lick uh, the bottle of honey from outside. So then what will they get? They'll get nothing, right? Only when we open the bottle, then only somebody will be able to taste, right? So same way, the non-devotees who are trying to study this, they'll never be able to study properly. They will only understand when they study under a proper person, proper guru who is coming in the parampara. So, as I said, people, they're trying to give their own interpretations because they want to become famous, and they write whatever they like without giving proper understanding. So we should be careful not to study any Gita in the market. So somebody may say, what is the problem? The problem is, if we study anybody's Gita, then we may actually we may understand Krishna and Krishna's teachings wrongly. We may not get the right type of understanding as it is given in the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, they will always get a wrong understanding. And what is the proof that Srila Prabhupada's books or Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita is correct? The proof is that so many people all over the world got transformed by studying this Gita, this Bhagavad Gita. So even we also can get transformed by studying this, the Bhagavad Gita written by Srila Prabhupada. That is the proof. Although so many people wrote and there are so many Gitas in the market, none of them could bring such a transformation in millions of people all over the world. Okay, we'll go to the next verse. 13th verse. Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumaram yavanam jara tata dehantara praptir dhirastatra na muhyati. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body, from boyhood to youth to old age. The soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. Purport. Since every living entity is an individual soul, each is changing his body every moment, manifesting sometimes as a child, sometimes as a youth, and sometimes as an old man. Yet the same spirit soul is there and does not undergo any change. This individual soul finally changes the body at death and transmigrates into another body. And since it is sure to have another body in the next birth, either material or spiritual, there was no cause for lamentation by Arjuna on account of death, neither for Bhishma nor for Drona, for whom he was so much concerned. Rather, he should rejoice for their changing bodies from old to new ones, thereby rejuvenating their energy. Such changes of body account for varieties of enjoyment or suffering, according to one's work in life. So Bhishma and Drona, being noble souls, are surely going to have spiritual bodies in the next life, or at least life in heavenly bodies, for superior enjoyment of mental existence. So in either case, there is no cause of lamentation. So we will discuss first this, and we will go to. So any person who has perfect knowledge of constitution of the individual soul, the super soul, and nature, both material and spiritual, is called a dhira, the most sober person. Such a man is never deluded by change of bodies. So we are seeing how this body constantly changes. First we were in the womb of mother, then we are a small baby, and then we start walking, having small child body. Then we become youth, and then gradually one becomes hmm, produces byproducts. Then one becomes old, dwindles and dies. So we can see our body keeps on changing. Even according to science, all the cells in the body change every 7 years. So there is a constant change, but the soul remains the same. So we can feel, right, the bodies keep on changing, but we don't change. Hmm? So one who understands this eternal nature of the soul, he will not unnecessarily lament. So Arjuna was worried uh, about Drona, Bhishma. How can I kill my teachers? They are also exalted. But then here, here we see Krishna is trying to remove that illusion by saying that you are actually foolishly lamenting for something which is not supposed to be lamented. They will anyway get a newer body. Uh, you should be happy. Now they have old bodies. They'll get a new body, or they may go to spiritual world uh, where they can be happy forever. So one who understands this body keeps changing, the soul never changes. He is undisturbed in all situations. So we should identify more with the soul rather than the body. Unfortunately, we identify more with this body only, that I am this body. Hmm. So the Mayavadis, as we discussed, they think of the oneness of the spirit soul. Uh, so, uh, so the supreme soul, it can never be cleavable or changeable. Uh, so the soul is always part and parcel of the supreme Lord, and it is Tatastha Shakti. Tatastha Shakti means it is either sometimes it can take shelter of Krishna, or it can take shelter of the illusory energy of Krishna, which is Maya. Uh, so it has the free will always, but the living entity has to use that free will properly and surrender to the Supreme Lord. And when he surrenders to the Supreme Lord, then hmm, then he'll be happy forever. So the living entity's happiness lies in his surrender to the Supreme Lord. They are not on the same level. Uh, so the Supreme Lord is the controller of spiritual and material worlds. He created this supreme creation and is also maintaining it. So we cannot create ourselves, not to speak of other things. We only use the things created by God and manufacture something. And for that also, God only gives the necessary intelligence, memory. That should be understood. So go to the next verse. It's a very important verse. 2.14 Matra sparshnastu kaunteya शीतोष्ण सुखदुःखद अगमापायनो नित्यस् तां स्थितिक्षस्व भारत. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception of Skriyan of Bharata. One must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So here in this verse, Krishna is trying to teach us tolerance, how we should learn to tolerate all the sufferings and miseries in this world. Okay, so it only rises out of sense perception, Krishna is telling. Okay, so purport. In the discharge of duty, one has to learn to tolerate non-permanent appearance and disappearance of happiness and distress. According to Vedic injunction, one has to take his bath early in the morning, even during the month of Magha. It is very cold at that time, but in spite of that, a man who abides by the religious principles does not hesitate to take his bath. Similarly, a woman does not hesitate to cook in the kitchen in the months of May and June, the hottest part of the summer season. One has to execute his duty in spite of climatic inconveniences. Similarly, to fight is a religious principle of Kshatriyas. And although one has to fight with some friend or relative, one should not deviate from his prescribed duty. One has to follow the prescribed rules and regulations of religious life in order to rise up to the platform of knowledge. Because by knowledge and devotion only can one liberate himself from the clutches of Maya. The two different names of address given to Arjuna are also significant. To address him as Kaunteya signifies his great blood relations from his mother's side, and to address him as Bharata signifies his greatness from his father's side. From both sides, he is supposed to have a great heritage. A great heritage brings the responsibility in the matter of proper discharge of duties, therefore, he cannot avoid fighting. So, in this world, we should understand uh, so that there will be happiness, there will be suffering. We cannot avoid this. You cannot say that, oh, I want only happiness, I don't want any suffering. That is not possible. Uh, so, while living in this world, you need to experience all this. In any field you are. So, but here Krishna is teaching us how to uh, actually see this suffering, how to see this suffering and happiness in a proper way, how to tolerate this. We should also tolerate the success also, because sometimes people become very proud about their success. They feel that they are the one who did it, because of them only it is happening. So this type of wrong attitudes are seen in people. So one should actually give up all these wrong attitudes. One should understand that it is all God's mercy, Krishna's mercy. He is giving the necessary intelligence, memory. He is saying Mata Smriti Jnanam Pohanam Cha. Sarvasya Chaham Hriday Sannivishto. So he is staying in our heart as super soul and he is guiding us. And he is giving all the material facilities, his body, senses, mind, all the vegetables, fruits, and everything, so that we can sustain. Hmm. So we should be grateful to Krishna when success comes. We should give credit to him. And when distress comes, generally we tend to blame the Supreme Lord. Why you gave me distress? What wrong I have done? But actually, a devotee thinks that because of his past bad activities, uh, so Krishna is kindly giving a reaction. And ideally, I should be very happy to receive this. I should not feel why only God is giving me only, why not others. That comparison, that type of comparison is very, very bad. Uh, One should feel I deserve much more punishment, but Krishna is kind, he has reduced it and giving me little punishment only. So we should be happy. Uh, And this happiness and distress arises out of bodily conception. When we identify strongly with the body, whatever gives me sense gratification, uh, we think that is happiness. Whatever doesn't give me sense gratification, that is distress. So, but one should learn to tolerate this non-permanent appearance and disappearance of happiness and distress in this world. In the sense, one should actually understand these things are always there in the material world. So one should learn to tolerate. So, uh, just like in the month of winter, Magamas, one wants to get up early in the morning and take bath. So, but although it is very cold, one who is very sincere, he will not deny this. He will still continue taking the bath, huh? Because he wants to follow the religious principles very sincerely, very strictly. He doesn't want to, forget it or deny it. He is very sincere about it. Same way, another example Prabhupada is telling of a woman, although it is summer, it is very hot, she doesn't want to leave cooking. She wants to still cook because it is her duty to cook for the pleasure of the family members. So she will continue cooking as a duty. The same way for the Kshatriyas, the kings, the duty is to fight. Hmm? So they have to fight. We cannot run away from our duties. Uh, so one should learn to fight for the sake of Krishna. Just like Arjuna was denying here before this, we saw he was not willing to fight, but Krishna is reminding him his duty. So as Krishna says, karma karyaste ma phaleshu kadasya. So you have the right to perform your duty. Uh, According to our nature, different people have different natures. Uh, but they have to perform their duties as per their natures. So when they follow the rules and regulations given uh, by the scriptures, the duties given in the scriptures, then they will rise up to the platform of knowledge. And because by knowledge and devotion only can one liberate himself from the clutches of Maya. So here the Supreme Lord is called as Kaunteya. So he is addressed uh, from the mother side. It signifies the relationships from his mother side. And Bharata means from his father's side. So Arjuna had a very great heritage, lineage. So Prabhupada is telling, along with a great heritage brings great responsibility in the matter of proper discharge of duties. So we should understand this is very important. So Indians, they have a great heritage, but unfortunately they are following the Western culture. Uh, we see India how rich it was and how people were so knowledgeable. The whole world was being taught various things from India. In the sense, uh, the people all over the world, they used to come to India and learn various knowledge, and it was so wealthy that in Hampi there is one market. Even now, if you go in Karnataka, there is a huge market. Means in the past they used to have, where they used to sell diamonds, real diamonds. Uh, so that was the situation few hundred years ago. And that is materially, but even spiritually we have a great heritage. All the wonderful scriptures and everything comes from India. So along with the great heritage, there is also great responsibility, which we all have to fulfill. So uh, Prabhupada used to often quote this. ಯಾರೇ ಭಾರತ ಭೂಮಿತೆ ಹೋಯ್ಲೆ ಹೋಯ್ ಜನ್ಮ ಯಾರ್ ಜನ್ಮ ಸಾರ್ಥಕರಿ ಕರಪರೋಪಕಾರ. So those who are born in this land of Bharatavarsha, so what is their responsibility? First of all, they should purify themselves and then share this knowledge with as many people as possible. Hmm. So that is most important to remember. So we all have the responsibility as Indians. We are given extra facilities right from childhood. One knows who is Lord Ram, who is Krishna. All these understandings are there. So, but one should be careful. Hmm. Okay, we'll go to next verse, 15th. So there is one statement: the greatness of a person is known by his ability to tolerate provoking situations. How much provoking situations can he tolerate? That determines his greatness. So the Supreme Lord, he has the greatest tolerance. There is one story of Brugumani going to test who is the Supreme Lord. So he goes to Brahma, Shiva, and finally, when he goes to Lord Vishnu, he hits him with his feet on his chest. Uh, so then Lord Vishnu actually, he says very humbly that you might have got hurt. Uh, my chest is so hard, your feet are so soft. So he starts massaging his feet, Supreme Lord Vishnu. So seeing that humility in the Lord, his heart melts. Bhrugumanis, like that. Okay, we'll go to the next verse. Yam hina vyatayanti te purusham purusharshava samadukka sukam dhiram so amritatvaya kalpate. O best among men, Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. Anyone who is steady in his determination for the advanced stage of spiritual realization and can equally tolerate the onslaughts of distress and happiness is certainly a person eligible for liberation. The Varnashram institution, the fourth stage of life, namely the renounced order, sannyas, is a painstaking situation. But one who is serious about making his life perfect surely adopts the sannyas order of life in spite of all difficulties. The difficulties usually arise from having to sever family relationships. One minute. So, yeah. Similarly, Arjuna discharge of duties as a Kshatriya is uh, advised to fight here. Although it is difficult for him, but as matter of duty, he has to fight as a Kshatriya. Similarly, Lord Chaitanya, who appeared 500 years ago, who is not different from Krishna, he took sannyas at the age of 24, uh, leaving aside his young wife and old mother. So, but that was for the sake of sannyas, for a higher purpose, to share this knowledge of Krishna consciousness to the whole world. That is the reason why he took sannyas, huh? Not for any other reasons. So there will be difficulties. Nobody can say that there will be no difficulties in one's life. Hmm? So one should learn how to deal with difficulties. Hmm? One should actually, one can become very strong uh, spiritually or internally if one learns how to take the difficulties. When difficulties come, we should take shelter of those who are really strong. Who is a supremely strong person? It is Krishna. So by taking shelter of Krishna, we can become completely fearless. Huh? So that is how we can actually come out of the difficulties. If we don't take shelter of Krishna, then we will only suffer. Same way, Arjuna, yeah, uh, same way Arjuna, he didn't like fighting, but he has to fight for the sake of Krishna, hmm, although he did not like it. So, for a higher purpose. So here there is another important thing is to tolerate the onslaughts of distress and happiness. So what is that tolerating happiness? You may have a question. So as I said, when there is some uh, success, people generally become proud. Uh, there is always chance of people becoming proud. So protecting ourselves from that false pride is very important, especially when success comes. We think that we are the cause of that success. We don't give credit to God for all the facilities, for everything He does. Uh, so then all these problems come. So we should learn to overcome the onslaughts of happiness and distress and remain in Krishna consciousness properly. Next verse. नाशतो विद्यते भावो न भावो विद्यते सत उभयोरपि दृष्टान्तस्त्वानयोस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existence, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. So the body keeps on changing, as I said, uh, every now and then, but the soul is permanent, It never changes. So that is the difference between matter and spirit. Matter keeps changing, but spirit will never change. Hmm? So uh, the living entities, they are bewildered by the influence of ignorance. So what is that ignorance? Ignorance that he is soul and he is eternally servant of Krishna. Forgetting that he is real ignorance. So how can we remove that ignorance? By establishing our eternal relation with the Lord. Okay. So that is how we can completely remove that ignorance. Like that. So uh, the Supreme Lord and the soul, quality wise they are same, but quantity wise they are different. In the sense they also have uh, all the qualities like Krishna. We are also eternal, uh, but Krishna's eternality is different uh, from our eternality. In the sense, Krishna is Vibhu, we are Anu. We are so tiny, we are completely insignificant. But we forget the supreme position of Krishna and our own insignificant position, unfortunately. Hmm. So we should come out of this illusion. Okay, we go to next. Avinashi tu tadvidhi yena sarvam idam tatam vinasham avyayasya na kaschit kartum arhati. That which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. This verse more clearly explains the real nature of the soul, which is spread all over the body. Anyone can understand what is spread all over the body. It is consciousness. Everyone is conscious of the pains and pleasures of the body, in part or as a whole. The spreading of consciousness is limited within one's own body. The pains and pleasures of one body are unknown to another. Therefore, each and every body is the embodiment of an individual soul. The symptom of the soul's presence is perceived as individual's consciousness. So, we are limited. How we are limited? We only are aware of our own body, but we don't know what is happening in another's body, right? But Krishna, the Supreme Lord, he is aware of everything. He is aware of everyone. Huh? Millions of trillions of living entities. He is completely aware of each and everyone. So that is a speciality of the Lord. Hmm. Now we also may have friends, relatives, but how many we know, and how much can we know? There is always limitation. But for Krishna, for the Supreme Lord, there is no limitation. Hmm. He can expand unlimitedly. Now the size of the soul is being explained. So the scriptures say the soul is 1/10,000 part of the upper portion of the hair point in size. That much small, which we cannot see. And that small soul is controlling this huge body. Okay, that is the speciality of the soul. Uh, that small thing can actually control the whole body. Hmm. So here the explanation of the size of the soul is given. When the upper point of hair is divided into 100 parts and again Each of such parts is further divided into 100 parts. Each such part is a measurement of the dimension of the spirit soul. That is the size of the soul. 1/10,000th tip of the hair. That much small. So when the soul is present in the body, next he is saying Prabhupada, then the body is active. Then the body feels conscious. But the soul leaves, there is no consciousness. So now we have material consciousness. But to come out of material consciousness and to be fixed in Krishna consciousness, that is a goal of life. Oh, there is a lot of purport more. So this is the best form of process. Okay. Yeah. So the Hatha Yoga system is meant for controlling the 5 kinds of air. The constitutional position of soul is also admitted in Vedic literatures. It is also factually felt in the practical experience by any sane man. Yeah, we discussed this. So the atomic soul is situated in the heart of every living entity. And because the measurement of the atomic soul is beyond the power of appreciation of material scientists, some of them assert foolishly that there is no soul. This is all wrong, as I explained already. So how the body functions is being explained now. The soul which lies in the heart along with the super soul. So when the heart pumps, then there is blood circulation, right? So the blood so the main thing, the presence of soul makes the heart beat. But the moment the soul leaves the body, then it is gone. The heart stops functioning. So scientists say that this is all red blood corpuscles, but it cannot ascertain that the source of energy is the soul. Okay. Modern science also says that the heart is the seat of all energies of the body. And that is true. So, yeah. So the soul and the super soul here are compared with sun and the sunshine. The sun continuously emanates sunlight, right? But the sunlight, it cannot be the sun, right? The small sparks of sunlight, it can never be sun. So same way, we are spirit souls, but we can never become like the Supreme Lord. We are always insignificant. We may say that actually we are Supreme Lord or this and that, but this is not possible. So we'll end here today, little early. So I have some other services. So thank you all for joining. So from Monday we'll again continue this series of talks on Bhagavad Gita, 7:30. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Any questions anybody has?